Welcome to International Dark Sky Week. My name is Chris Peterson, Engagement Associate with Dark Sky International, and I'm just thrilled to kick off this event with you all. Like I said, today we're joined by our dedicated programs team, the architects of dark sky places worldwide. As we celebrate the start of International Dark Sky Week, we'll today kind of explore the importance of preserving our planet's nighttime natural beauty from protecting nocturnal wildlife, fostering human connection. Our discussion will, shed some light or darkness on the significance of this global initiative. So, with that said, let's dive in, discover together how we can ensure the stars continue to shine for generations to come. And Drew, do you want to give us a little intro about what is International Dark Sky Week? And I'll pop open the slides.
And, International Dark Sky Week is always the highlight of our year. This is a time to bring people into our community, to build awareness, and just kind of spread the joy of the dark and natural night. All right, so the mission of International Dark Sky Week, well, it's a worldwide celebration of the night, first and foremost. And it's an opportunity to, again, grow the dark sky movement through outreach and action. Every year, Dark Sky, we create a website, a portal to help drive engagement. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat right now. I would encourage everyone to visit the official International Dark Sky Week website. There you'll find a number of actions that you can take to protect the night, including a pledge. That pledge is a great way to, it's an easy action you can take to show your commitment to preserving the night. International Dark Sky Week is held in usually early April. It changes slightly to align with the new moon typically. This year is a little bit special. We decided to move International Dark Sky Week so that it would culminate on April 8th with the total solar eclipse that will be passing over Mexico, the United States, and Canada. Today, for this lecture series, you're going to be able to hear from our Dark Sky team about some special programs or just programs in general that we offer and programs that we hold in order to help protect the night worldwide.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Liebel, and I'm the Chief Programs Officer for Dark Sky International. It's a real honor to be here to make this presentation to you, our community, and our supporters to talk about some of the things we're doing at Dark Sky International. It's a real exciting time for us as we're looking forward ahead into the future with some of the programs that we're doing. And so I'm going to give you some sort of high-level discussions of some of the things that we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're moving about it. Hopefully get you inspired to go back to your community and participate both with your community and with Dark Sky International. Next slide. So first, let's talk about our vision. The vision of the organization is that natural darkness at night is protected worldwide as essential for people and nature. That's how we would love to see the world get back to. And our mission is to restore the nighttime environment and protect communities and wildlife from light pollution. So that is what our organization is all about. Next slide, we'll talk about this is a strategic plan that was put together through the Board of Directors of Dark Sky International. And in this diagram, as you look on the left with the current state where we have the loss of the night and we're losing, and light pollution is expanding by 10% every year globally. Obtrusive light is growing from cities and communities and losing our darkness. And as we move to the right, we look at ourselves, Dark Sky International as a hub. And that hub is for both information and putting together programs to help facilitate restoring that darkness, to get policymakers and industry and consumers involved, bringing about the programs that we have, which we'll share some of them with, and then having our advocates, the people like you who are in our network and really working to improve dark skies, get involved and bring these ideas that we have to the local level. So at the right, the future state, we can then be restoring the dark through the efforts that we have with the work of all of you. Next. There's three main areas that Dark Sky works on. These are, and again, this is a strategic plan from the Board of Directors. One is policy. which is getting advocates to lead movement building through dark sky policies. And what we're talking about here is like ordinances. How can we get our municipalities to adopt ordinances, to adopt dark sky practices in states and nations, to understand and accept that light pollution is a form of pollution, that it's important for agencies to do what they can to support saving the night sky. The next is the dark sky approved in the middle there, where we are promoting dark sky best practices through certification programs. And we'll talk about a few of those today. And the third one is dark sky collaboration, where we work with other organizations, like-minded organizations that are environmental organizations, lighting organizations, and so forth, so that we can all work collaboratively together towards achieving these goals. Next slide. So today we'll talk about 5 different programs that we have: policies, the role in education program, our luminaires and sports lighting program, our lodging program, and the International Dark Sky Places. Next. Before I start with the exact programs, I want to talk about our 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting. And these are principles that we put together, Dark Sky International, in conjunction with the Illuminating Engineering Society. 5 principles that we advocate in everything that we do and form the baseline for the policies and our programs that we have. And so these are, quite simply, first, if you're going to have light at night, it must have a use. It must be useful and serve a clear purpose. Otherwise, it doesn't need to be there. Secondly, if it has a purpose, then it should be targeted to that purpose and targeted specifically for that purpose, so it's not creating spill light and sky glow and other unwanted effects. The third is that we keep that light at the lowest level possible, or the lowest level that's necessary to achieve the need of that use, and don't overlight. There's no reason to light more than what is necessary for the task at hand. Number 4 is controlling it so it's on only when it's needed. That's either turning it on or off, or dimming it after hours so that it's not as bright at night. And the 5th one is using warm colors, because the blue colors, shorter wavelengths, scatter more in the sky and cause more sky glow. These are 5 principles that guide everything that we do in terms of our program. Next slide. So for policy, what we're doing right now is we are working with several groups in forming model municipal ordinance language, so that they're templates really, so that we can provide these on our website, free to everyone to use as templates to take to your cities and advocate for adoption, so that any lighting that's installed, outdoor light at night that's installed at night, would follow these 5 principles. We've been collaborating with many of our advocates and government representatives, other organizations on this. We're starting in the United States with a focus on state legislation and municipal ordinances, and then we're going to take these to more of the international community to see if we can translate it and use it throughout the world. Next. We're really looking at these policies as being simple and executable, meaning that these will result in lowering lighting pollution. They will maintain the lighting standards that are in place for light levels. They have to be reasonable and practical, and they have to be cost effective and have industry support. We've been through this long enough to know that if we don't get industry support, that it's very difficult to get policies passed. And I think that we're getting very close at this point. In addition, the policy should result in improved lighting and maintain their functionality and respond to the locality of where you live. Those are our overarching principles that are guiding us. It's very exciting that we're getting where we are. And again, we're feeling like we're getting close. We expect this to be out this year for sure. Next. The role in education program as building a foundation and common vocabulary for our advocates, designers, government agencies, and manufacturers. This is a program where we have some grant money that's been provided to Dark Sky International. It will be a web-based educational platform with different levels of educational opportunities. We'd like this to accumulate in our biggest goal, which is to lead to a Dark Sky qualified certification program, so that if you take this education material and you pass the tests that go along with it, then you will have demonstrated your knowledge in outdoor lighting and become Dark Sky qualified as a designer, as a planner, as a lawyer, whatever your role in life is, you'll have a good knowledge of what it means to practice dark sky principles and be able to converse and bring these things to your municipalities and work things out with them at a very expert level. Next. The core modules of the program, there are 5 that talk about why darkness matters. We'll get into lighting principles. The next one that we have is on night lighting principles, which are separate and distinct from most lighting programs. Talk about these very specifically. Artificial light at night science and research. So you'll be given a really good lesson on what the research currently is on all the topics surrounding light at night. And then finally, a session or a core module on advocacy and policies and how you can get involved in working on this with dark sky. Other application modules be put together as well. Some of the examples are sports lighting, street and roadway lighting, and community lighting. These will be geared towards educating people on how these kinds of lighting applications are designed and what you can do about them, again, through your knowledge and as a dark sky qualified individual. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to James.
Hi, also very honored to be part of this event. I'm a full-time remote staff member of DarkSky. I live in New Paltz, part of the Hudson Valley in New York State. Every year I'm seeing, more how important this movement is. So thank you, for being involved. I manage the approved sports lighting program, the approved luminaire program, formerly known as FSA, and the new approved lodging program, which launched in January this year. The DarkSky approved sports lighting, DarkSky approved sports lighting designs, they create like a vastly improved offsite appearance versus non-DarkSky designs. So this means, better lighting, but not the elimination of all light. You will still see tall poles and some reflected light, but the offsite impact is much less for a DarkSky approved sports lighting facility. So the program achieves the following goals. It minimizes neighborhood lighting nuisances by reducing the offsite glare, very important. Light trespass and sky glow effects are dramatically lower. And curfew requirements minimize impact on plants and animals, as well as the night sky during peak viewing times. And it discourages overlighting by capping light levels to no more than 10% over IS recommendations. Slide. So the other program, DarkSky approved luminaires. Program promotes manufacturers who offer dark sky friendly light fixtures. The program also encourages the development of more responsible light fixture designs. It approves lighting products with full shielding, dimming, and warm CCT color. Non-lighting professionals can find night sky sensitive products using our approved database. And the program should be used together with the 5 principles that Brian mentioned, which provide like the application guidance. Next slide. The DarkSky approved lodging program, it's newly released and it's received a lot of attention. The program does the following things. It aims to protect existing DarkSky resources and project locations. It's designed to educate and raise awareness about quality lighting design, light pollution, and how to view the night sky, and acts as a best practice example for other businesses in the tourism industry. And so for a more in-depth look at the lodging program, I'd like to pass this on to Michael Reimer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. For those who may know me, I am Michael Reimer. I used to be the program advocacy program intern for a little bit. I started with the organization a couple years ago, and now on the program side of things, helping with international dark sky places with Amber Harrison, who will be speaking after me, and then working to establish the American Southwest Coalition, here in the United States. And thank you again, James. I will speak about the dark sky approved lodging a little bit more here. Next slide, please. So like James said, this is just a new program to promote high quality lighting at these locations of already dark sky quality, where people can go and recreate, take in some stargazing activities at a resort style place. Next slide. This includes, for instance, hotels, cabins, resorts, retreat centers, and other permanent facilities, promoting this idea of ecotourism, that is astrotourism or dark sky tourism. Next slide. There's some criteria, of course, with this program. Again, needs to be located in an area of exceptional dark sky. So anywhere along the Vegas Strip may not count. But one day we'll see. Understand sensitive nighttime resources and the appropriate means of reducing that light impact. So again, following the 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting, and then allowing the regular nighttime access to guests and providing the education and outreach material to the folks that come to these places. Next slide. So to answer 5 questions about this new and exciting program, let's go with the first one. What is this program? Again, we're preserving dark sky. We're helping preserve dark skies where they already exist, promoting the education, promoting high quality lighting design for the facility owners and managers. What the program is not, it's not like International Dark Sky Places in that this program focuses more on the lighting design. And of course, these facilities in particular, not larger areas as a whole. Who is eligible? Private or public owners with permanently installed or built structures such as yurts, cabins, elaborate tents, things of that nature. Campers, campsites, RV sites. That could be an expansion of the program down the road, but for right now, we are not focusing on those sites. So that answers that for who is not eligible. And then the ties to dark sky tourism are pretty obvious. People traveling to dark sky places to experience the night sky. And that's what our programs here are trying to really show, that, you know, you may live in an area of bad light pollution. Well, if you go to visit a place with good lighting, you know what that looks like, and you can take that home and really start to make a change in your community, which leads into the next section of this presentation with Amber Harrison.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. My name is Amber Harrison. I'm the International Dark Sky Places Program Manager. I am located here in the Big Bend. I have to give shout out for the Greater Big Bend International Dark Sky Reserve, our currently largest and first by National International Dark Sky Reserve. So I'm very lucky to call that home. Thank you all for being here. This is a really great time of year. This is really important to get everybody engaged, get everybody excited about dark skies. So next slide. Thank you. So many of you know about the International Dark Sky Places program. But for those of you who don't, this is just going to be a real quick introduction to the program, just to kind of get some of you hooked and engaged. The International Dark Sky Places program was founded in 2001. The program recognizes and promotes stewardship of the night sky through 4 key actions under 5 certification categories. We have international dark sky parks, international dark sky sanctuaries, reserves, communities, and urban night sky places. Each of those categories has slightly different requirements associated with each of these 4 key actions. Outdoor lighting management and policy. So what that means is that in a nutshell, all places must develop lighting management plans or policies to guide the use of light at night. Dark sky friendly lighting. All places, to be certified, all places must use and promote lighting that follows the 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting. All lighting must comply eventually with the lighting management plans and policies. Outreach and education. All places must provide educational programs, events, materials centered around dark sky issues, themes, and quality outdoor lighting. And then lastly, monitoring of night sky quality. Each of these places to be certified must create a baseline survey to document their night sky quality, night sky conditions, and to work to either continue to preserve that condition in already dark places, such as in parks and sanctuaries, or work to restore the natural darkness in built environments, such as with communities and urban night sky places. After certification, all of these places will continue to document their night sky quality to monitor change over time. So that's really where the lasting impact comes from this program, is through the work that you really do after certification, which is continuing to do that outreach and education in the long term, as well as continuing to monitor night sky quality so that you can address any potential threats that are in the areas within your site or the areas surrounding you. So that's really kind of what the heavy lifting of the program. Next slide. Engagement so far in this program is pretty strong. So far, we have 222 certified places worldwide. So that's from the first place. Certified in was Flagstaff, Arizona, certified in 2001. And then recently we added 4 more who have yet not been announced. So we have 124 parks, 42 communities, 22 reserves, 20 sanctuaries, and 10 urban night sky places. That spans 22 countries and 6 continents. Together combined, one of the most, I think, impactful things of this program, aside from just the general power of the outreach and education component to these, is the policy. As Brian talked about earlier, we're really focusing on policies. So if you look at this program, you see where some of the big action around policy is. If you look at international dark sky communities and reserves, they all have to pass policies. So that's 46 policies passed so far for communities and well over 22 associated with international dark sky reserves. Each reserve probably has multiple policies associated with it, so that number is actually quite higher. In terms of overall geography and spatial distribution of these places, international dark sky reserves each exceed 700 square kilometers. So it's roughly 173,000 acres each. At 22 of those across the globe, that's a big space for reserves alone. In total, well over 160,000 square kilometers of protected night sky through this program. 174 applications are currently in the pipeline right now. So that means that 174 places globally are currently working towards certification. Last year in 2023, we had over 120 pre-application inquiries. So that means those are just people reaching out to us, getting excited to join the program. So as you can see through all of this, our program, the Places program, is rapidly growing with more and more different types of sites that are wanting to join the program. So the program is really sort of inspired by protected lands, public lands, think national parks, state parks. And now we're really getting a lot more places wanting to join the program. So we're really looking at how can we improve this program to cast a wider net to include more places. So we're currently working on different strategies to expand our horizons. So keep an eye out for some changes in the program coming up. Next slide. The benefits of certification are many. This is just a real quick sampling of all of the great things that can come about from getting a certification or becoming certified. Preserving the night sky, of course, that's what we're all about. So places preserve and restore natural beauty to support ecosystems, to meet the needs of wildlife, meet the needs of wildlife and preserve natural landscapes and our human heritage. Environmental conservation, it's a little slightly different. Places promote sustainable practices, reduce energy waste, and preserve cultural heritage and knowledge for future generations. Education, outreach, and experience. Places raise awareness, promote responsible lighting practices, inspire learning, unite communities, and provide a place to have a dark sky experience. Human health and safety. By following best lighting practices, places create a safer and healthier environment for people and wildlife. And of course, tourism and economic development. Places attract visitors, they increase revenue for sites and surrounding communities, reduce energy costs, promote stewardship, and create a sense of place that people want to invest in. And where to start? So if you think that you have a place that you value, you have a site that you think would be a good candidate for the International Dark Sky Places program, where do you start? The first things first, learn about the problem. In my experience and the way that I got engaged with dark sky conservation is I saw it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So seeing is believing. Learn about light pollution. Look at examples of good lighting and bad lighting. Learn about why pollution is bad. What are the negative impacts of light pollution on wildlife, on human health and behavior? And most importantly, learn about the easy solutions. 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting. It doesn't get more simple than that. Educate yourself around the issue. Start at home. Look at your own lighting. Look at your own neighborhood. Look at your own area. Lead by example, and engage and educate others. So I really think, again, my experience has been that once you learn about the problem, it's very easy to go out there and see it and engage others and get them also thinking about it. And then certify a place you value. Find that place that speaks to you, that special place where you used to stargaze when you were a kid, or even that special place that you escape to now. You escape the city, you go to your local park or go to a rural area and enjoy that place. So work to certify those places for continued preservation into the future. Next slide. And I'll pass this back over to Michael Reimer.
So a lot of you are probably thinking about these programs, and like Amber's slide said, where do you start? Well, and what can I do? And to echo what Amber said, education is always going to be the first piece. So if you're interested in participating in any way or in any of these programs, go to our website, darksky.org, and please read thoroughly and carefully through these programs. There's a lot of information, but these are very in-depth and involved processes. And it's for a good reason, because we're doing a lot of hard work. So please familiarize yourselves with our guidelines and the eligibility requirements. That's going to be your first step. Look at our FAQ pages as well, to get as many as your questions answered, from the beginning. Then promote these programs. Encourage your towns, your neighborhoods, your friends and family to promote the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting. Again, like Amber said, the change can start at home. Visit any of these places in our programs, a dark sky place, a lodge, a certified sports field, to really see what good lighting looks like in practice. And then get familiar with your local lighting ordinances, because policy is where big change happens. So if you have one on the books, check it out, see where it could be updated, and try to talk with your local leaders to see about making that happen. If there's not one in place, well, you got a blank slate to start with to really get something on the books for good responsible outdoor lighting in your community. And you do it by getting connected with your neighbors, others who live in the community, because as we see in our advocate network, a strong global community is what drives change, and more voices will be heard, and because they'll be louder. So you guys being here today is a great step if you're just now starting to get involved with Dark Sky International and the Dark Sky movement. So we appreciate the time and the support that you're giving to us here. Learn from each other and learn from us. We're a community that shares and delights in education. So the more you know, the more you grow. And with that, Chris, I'll toss it back to you.
Thanks, Michael. And I will just throw up this slide for 1 minute. If you did want to get in contact with any of our programs team, of course, visit darksky.org to learn more. Otherwise, these folks would be more than willing to help you out or point you in the right direction of further resources. Before we get into the Q&A portion, I'll give you folks a minute to submit any other questions you have, either via the chat or Q&A feature of the screen. Feel free to ask about our programs, what DarkSky is up to. If we can't take a question, we'll make sure to get back to you offline, either through email or otherwise. So with that, give me 1 moment and I'll navigate over to the Q&A portion so we can get that rolling. So the first question, I guess, Brian, James, Amber, Michael, whoever wants to take it, feel free. Somebody asked, do you take into account the members' input for different goals of DarkSky International that you presented? So Brian, talking from those earlier slides, as an astrophysicist, dark skies are important. Feel like there might be some other angles of discussion to promote dark sky.
Let me turn off mute. Yeah, the answer to that is we really do take into account many, many different perspectives on this. We have to. And so as an example, with the ordinance work that we're doing right now, we have a group of advocates that are currently working their way to trying to get legislation passed as one group. And we are working with industry in terms of the Illuminating Engineering Society and the International Association of Lighting Designers and Lighting Design Professionals and their group. We have our own technical committee that's has a pretty good widespread distribution of folks. And then we have manufacturers that we talk to. And on policy, it's really important that we understand all of these perspectives. And it's not that we are compromising our principles. It's how do we best achieve our goals of reducing light pollution in connection with all of those parties who have involvement with it. If we don't include all these different perspectives, then that's when we find that you get opposition to what we're doing. And so it's really important for us to work with everybody to try to get the best that we possibly can in a constructive dialogue so that everybody works together. So, you know, as an example, I would say that the Luminaires program, the formal fixture seal of approval program, has really, you know, made some fundamental changes in the way people buy products by looking for products that are shielded and don't have any uplight. And that's a good move. And the more that we can do with things like this so that people become exposed to and recognize these benefits, the better off we are. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Kathy in the chat makes a good point. The difference is that our community leaders work for us. We're paying their salaries. That's really good. Here, another question to the programs team. Is there any plan to further develop dark sky tourism development training for IDSPs, advocates, parentheses, lodging certifications to add to dark sky education pillar?
Yeah, I'll take that, and then I can ask Michael to add some to it if he'd like. With the Roland program, the Dark Sky Qualified moniker, if you take the courses, you pass the test, you become Dark Sky Qualified. That could also include ecotourism or astrotourism specifically. If we add different modules so that people can be certified in terms of training, and then we also provide module materials on it, we could have a dark sky certified program as an example that could be taken into these dark sky lodges. And then we'd have a uniform program that could be taught at the lodges through a dark sky certified program and certified instructors. That is something we do have on the plans. That probably is going to take a little bit longer The Roland pilot probably will be toward the end of this year. So that kind of an idea, well, it's going to be out a little bit further, probably another year or more as it gets going. But Michael, do you want to add anything to that? This is an idea that you and I talked about.
Yeah. This would be a great program in the future down the road to certify those who are astrodourism professionals, because they are kind of the front lines as well as advocates as far as people who work in this new and very exciting and fast growing industry. So of course we want input from those who are already kind of working in those ranks, because they're the people that introduce so many to the night sky. And so we want to have them to be really involved in promoting dark sky awareness and best practice while celebrating, actively celebrating this cosmos that we live in. So yeah, this is something that I personally studied myself through university. So it's an exciting program that I have in the back of my mind, and that Brian and I, like he said, have talked about. So we hope to get something like this stirred up here in the coming year or so.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Brian. I did notice in the chat there was a question about, I can't find it right now, about how it might be easier to talk to your neighbor than it would be to talk to city council or representatives. I would say, as a dark sky advocate up here in the greater Minnesota region, I was at my city council meeting last night and just introduced myself. Hi, I care about light pollution. My name's Chris. I'm going to email every single person up here. And I've already gotten 3 responses, and they want to set up meetings to learn more and to discuss this topic, because they're people like you. They see these glaring lights, they appreciate the wilderness, and they want to learn more. They want that those resources or research to make informed decisions. So they are willing to talk to those folks. It just takes you going down to the city office and attending a meeting or sending an email. You'd be surprised at the response you can get. So a few other questions we have here. Maybe an easy one is, there any partnership with like the Audubon or birding groups in relation to dark sky places or protection?
The simple answer is yes. And I'll just give an example of that. Last late fall, we had a New Mexico chapter meeting to get that started in that area. Michael was involved with that, and we invited several environmental groups, one of them being the Audubon, as well as Xerxes, which is having to do with pollinators, bees and so forth. And these are really important issues for us to work with them on, with birds' migratory paths being affected and or running into buildings that are illuminated, being attracted into the buildings and so forth, and nighttime pollinators losing so much of them to light pollution because they're attracted to it and get disoriented and causing a lot of problems with their ecosystem. So we are working with them very much.
Yeah. How about a question for the group of programs team? It's such an important issue, Deborah states, but a little hard to explain succinctly. To sum it up, why are dark skies important?
That's the big old question there, huh?
I think it depends who you are also. I think if you're an astronomer, you probably care mostly about, uplight. But if you're, a wildlife specialist, you might care more about how bright and shielded it is and the color and, where it's impacting, a wild area. So I think it depends a little bit who you are and your perspective.
I think that historically, International Dark Sky, now Dark Sky International, focused on the astronomic side of it. But as with all knowledge, and as we are learning about our environment, what we are learning now is that this is having potentially a great impact on the environment vis-a-vis the reduction of insect populations, which has a downstream effect on other forms of life. And I think that while we're just starting to understand this, I think that it becomes much kind of higher level concern as an environmental concern. And we are certainly looking at that very closely.
Great.
For me, I would say it really, I mean, there's so many reasons as we all just noted, but I think really it's influence on our behavior and well-being, and same as, you know, the impact on the natural environment as well. So just the presence of artificial light really influences the way that living organisms behave and how our behaviors are modified as a result of that. And over the long term, the impacts can be quite negative. So I think really just our experience, as well as just our human heritage and our relationship to the night sky and the value of that to our story of our human history, I think we stand to lose a lot if we don't bring the sky into the full picture of our resource management practices. So I think there's a lot to lose, and it's very complicated. It's a very complex topic.
I think if you care about sustainability, then you need to really consider light pollution as one of those aspects of sustainability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And James, to kind of piggyback off that, when I have a conversation with someone about this topic and they don't know too much about it, I always ask them what, outside of light pollution, what is their biggest concern in their life? Is it finances? Is it environmental, consciousness? What is it? And then relate light pollution and dark sky protection to that issue, because that's what they care most about, because this issue branches and covers so much in our world, not just our ability to see the night sky. So, a lot of people may not care so much about stargazing, but they sure do care about their electricity bill. So it kind of letting your audience tell you what's important to them is also a great way of kind of breaching that conversation.
Yeah, may I chime in on something? Gary Fugman from Nebraska.
Yeah, go for it, Gary.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have approached the County Board of Supervisors here in eastern Nebraska. We're halfway between Sioux City and Omaha. And we have a dark sky. And I found that we've historically approached this issue from an economic standpoint. Let us save you money as government officials. And they'll listen to that for a while. But then I've also found that they're a little reluctant once they get into the aspect of, okay, these regulations do what? And then they have been a little reluctant, because in rural America, it's like, how are we going to enforce this? How retroactive is it going to be? Is it going to be from here on out, or is it going to be retroactive? And how do we enforce lumens emitted from a luminary? So that's been a concern here. And I've had people, in meetings get around to thinking about the problem, but not acting upon the problem because they're worried about enforcement and who's going to do the enforcing and what it's going to do to the neighbors.
There's another question. We've got a few different ways in the chat, and it's just one of my favorites from going to a tabling event or talking to people. And it's a heavy one. Does brighter mean safer?
Yeah. Psychologically, people believe that. Just look at your big pickup trucks that are rolling around, new late model pickup trucks. You flash your lights at them and they flash something even brighter back at you. And it's a very annoying.
I think
dangerous, number one.
The answer is that if the what is being lit is brighter, that means the light source is brighter, and the brighter the light source it is, the more blinding the light source is, and the more blinding the light source is, the less safe you are.
Right.
So it really has to do with proper design of shielding the fixture and actually keeping your adaptation lower, because the higher you bring the light level up, again, what happens is the sources become brighter, and that becomes a source of glare and a blinding factor. Right. So what's counterintuitive to most people, but what's actually the truth is, if you have shielded fixtures, you don't need to increase the light levels significantly to see better at all. It really is. It's really what happens is it's this thing that as soon as you brighten it up and the light source seems brighter, then you feel like you have to make it brighter still. And so, you know, the analogy I always use is the gas stations competing across the corner from each other, right? One gets one level, the next one across the street thinks they have to be brighter because they have to compete with them. It looks more open or it looks more safe. It's not really. It is basically a perception. And that's one of the things that we have to work on in our education program.
Yeah.
Indeed.
With that, we'll take one more question. But folks, if you do have other comments or questions for us, feel free to post it into the chat. We can get back to you after our live event. But the last question is really, where can we draw inspiration from? Are there any states, governments, municipalities taking strong action that it may be worth looking to when it comes to dark skies? I will say, just to plug Eileen, I think you're out there in the Webosphere world somewhere. The Everglades, Nat Park, and city counties all over have made proclamations for either Dark Sky Week or Dark Sky Month. This is an important topic and it's trending locally. But to the programs team, where would you look for that inspiration?
Amber would know.
Well, God, I would say looking to other, on a basic level, looking to other certified sites, places to go and have an experience. So, you know, going to that place, having that experience, seeing it, I can't say it enough, but seeing it, doing the demonstrations, what Brian was just talking about light levels, if you can somehow capture that and put it in a demonstration and teach people, seeing that is the inspiration. Because my experience and the whole reason why I got here was because I was shown at an observatory light pollution. And when I left that very dark night and I walked outside, I could see light pollution everywhere. And so seeing it is believing it. And man, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, you know, finding inspiration by going to those places, seeing what they're doing, seeing how it works, seeing how simple it is, and then going and spreading that message to your neighbors and friends and communities and up the chain. So
Yeah.
I'll be quiet now so somebody else can.
No, I just want to echo what you said though, Amber, because it's seeing light pollution, but it's also for many people who live in the city and who has never seen a dark sky.
Yeah.
It's going out to see what a dark sky looks like.
Yep.
I mean, over 90% of the people in the United States can't see the Milky Way where they live. And so by using the Dark Sky Places program and the lodging places, by really trying to help promote these places so that people can be exposed to it, then that gives them the inspiration to say, I want to do something about this, like Amber said. And that's why we do so much in terms of what we're doing to celebrate those places that are dark, that we try to preserve them, that we try to protect them, so that first of all, that people still have the ability to see it somewhere. Thank goodness we have that. And when so doing, that they become inspired to act locally to try to do what they can to protect it where they live.
I'd like to add just one more sort of point to that related to something else that was brought up in terms of like how you engage your communities and your councils to sort of get the the higher pie in the sky goal of policy, is looking towards especially like international dark sky reserves, where they've done a lot of work. A lot of them, like I said earlier, have policies, and they've got multiple policies that have had to be passed for each certification. So out here in the Big Bend, for example, we had to pass 6 counties and 5 municipalities. I can't remember, but it was a massive amount of work. It was very difficult. So looking to those places that have really done the heavy lifting and have made these things happen that seem unattainable, these challenges seem so difficult, that you can look to these places though and say it is possible to do this. And there are a lot of, especially the reserves and communities that have done it. So looking to those places for inspiration and guidance, I think is really a good step as well, because they've done the hard work.
Yeah. Thanks, programs team, Brian, James, Amber, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us today and good work about the programs. And also, I just want to thank you all, everybody, for joining us today. If you're looking to get a recording of this, we'll post it to YouTube shortly. Otherwise, I'll give you a moment to send any more chats and we'll make sure to down that and get your comments for follow-up. Make sure to check out the rest of our week's events available on idsw.darksky.org. Tomorrow, at the same time, we'll be hosting Dr. Avalon Owens and talking about the impact of artificial lights on insects. Should be a very interesting topic. So folks, thanks again. We look forward to seeing you at the next one, and happy International Dark Sky Week.